Welcome to my YouTube channel Bachelor and Master English. Today's discussion is about the well jar by Luigi Pirandello. So this is an Italian story, and the writer who won the Nobel Prize for Literature and this Nobel laureate's short story Luigi Pirandello is today's discussion. Before I begin my discussion, I would like to request you, if you are new to my channel, please subscribe it. If you think this video is worthy watching, please share it, comment it, and let others know that Bachelor and Master English YouTube channel is very important channel for students of English and teachers as well. Okay, first of all, let's see the picture here. And here is a jar, and in the jar you can see a man who is trapped there, and there is another man who is standing. Maybe this man who is standing is telling the person in the jar that he should pay the compensation for breaking the jar if he wants to come out, otherwise he has to stay there. And the story centers around this picture, and I shall be talking about this in later. First of all, let me share you the summary of the story. The well jar is a story of a rich landowner, Don Lollo. He is known in a village for his quarrelsome nature. He is easily bad-tempered and frequently consults a legal advisor for very small issues with farmers. This year, thanks to a large production of olives in his field, that he decides to purchase a big terracotta well jar to keep olive oil in it. The jar is placed in courtyard of his home, and after some days he finds it broken mysteriously. On farmer's advice, he invites Zi Dima, a mender, an inventor, who is famous for having invented one special glue to repair the jar. Don Lollo Ziraffa does not trust his glue, Zi Dima's glue. He intervenes in repairing and orders Zi Dima to mend the jar with glue and stitches of iron wire as well. Zi Dima is forced to follow his order, and while stitching the jar ends up trapped inside. Now Don Lollo goes to consult a lawyer, who informs him that it is an unlawful imprisonment of a person. He advises him to release the mender, but however, he suggests him to take compensation of the value of the jar from the prisoner. Zi Dima refuses to pay any penalty even if Don Lollo breaks the jar. Don Lollo now decides to make him live inside the jar and goes to sleep. In the night, farm workers gather to drink and dance around the jar. Don Lollo gets disturbed and wakes up by the noise of dancing and singing of the farmers. He is full of anger and smashes the jar against a tree, that is the olive tree. Now Zi Dima is free and he wins. So this is all about the summary of the story in English. Okay, let me tell you the story summary in Nepali. यो घैला, तेलको घैला शीर्षक राखेर लेखिएको लुइगी पिरान्डेलोको कथा अति रोचक कथा छ। यसमा के छ भन्दाखेरि जी डिमा र डन लोलोको बीचमा एउटा खालको तनाव छ। त्यो तनाव चाहिँ अब अन्त्यमा यो लोलो जिराफाले आफ्नो चाहिँ रिस, आफ्नो त्यो घैँटोमा चाहिँ लात्ताले हिर्काएर फुटाएपछि अनि त्यहाँ भित्र थुनिएको जी डिमाको मुक्तिसँगै यो कथाको अन्त पनि हुन्छ। अरु कथाको प्रसङ्ग यहाँ एकपटक चाहिँ ध्यान दिएर सुन्नुहोस्। यहाँहरूलाई चाहिँ म राम्रोसँग यसको कथाको चाहिँ सारांश बताउन गइरहेको छु। मौसमले साथ दिएको हुनाले यो वर्ष जैतुनको खेती साह्रै राम्रो भएको छ। लोला जिराफाको प्रिमोजल भन्ने ठाउँमा जैतुनको खेती छ। उसले एउटा नयाँ गाग्रो, टेराकोटाको नयाँ गाग्रो बनाउनको लागि निर्देशन दिन्छ ताकि तिनी जैतुनहरूलाई त्यसमा भरेर राख्न सकोस्। लोलाले साना साना कुराहरूमा झगडा गर्छ र अदालतमा जान्छ। जतिखेर पनि अदालतमा मुद्दा लड्न खोजेकोमा उसले खर्च धेरै तिर्नुपर्छ। नयाँ गाग्रो आइपुग्यो। लोलाले किसानहरूलाई जैतुनको खेती टिप्न लगाएको हुन्छ। अर्को वर्ष अर्को खेती लगाउनको पनि तयारी गरिरहेको छ। सिमी लगाउन खच्चडको मल ओसार्न थाल्छ उसले। अचानक 3वटा किसानहरूले त्यो नयाँ गाग्रो फुटेको देख्छन्। उनीहरू डराउँछन्। एकजनाले तुरुन्त आएर लोलालाई बोलाउँछ। लोलाले उनीहरूमा शङ्का गर्छ र एकजनालाई कुट्छ पनि। अब जसले चाहिँ उसको चाहिँ जानकारी दियो उसले चाहिँ अनाहकमा कुटाइ खानुपर्ने यस्तो खालको एउटा सामन्ती व्यवस्था त्यहाँ चाहिँ सामन्ती पारा चाहिँ डन लोलोले देखाउँछ। उसको नाममै डन छ। त्यो डन भनेको एउटा चाहिँ कुनै वस्तु, कुनै व्यक्ति अथवा कुनै समुदायप्रति एउटा चाहिँ आफ्नो एउटा बल प्रयोग गरेर अथवा चाहिँ थर्काएर नियन्त्रणमा राख्ने खालको मान्छेलाई चाहिँ डन लोलो, डन भनेर भनिन्छ नि। अब पछि लोलाको रिस शान्त भएपछि किसानहरूले अब उसलाई चाहिँ भन्ने व्यक्तिलाई ल्याएर भाँडोलाई पुनः मर्मत गर्न सल्लाह दिन्छन्। त्यो जी डिमा भन्ने मान्छे एउटा चाहिँ उसले यस्तो खालको चाहिँ एउटा टाँसिने चिज, त्यो यस्तो फुटेका भाँडाकुँडाहरू चाहिँ टाँसेर त्यो भाँडाकुँडालाई चाहिँ बलियो बनाउने अथवा त्यसको रिपेयर, त्यो पुनः प्रयोग गर्नको लागि योग्य बनाउने चाहिँ गर्छ। अब त्यो उसलाई तर फेरि चाहिँ यो लोलो जिराफाले उसले पत्याउँदैन। जी डिमाले यो गर्छ भन्ने कुरा चाहिँ किसानहरूले त भन्छन्, तर चाहिँ डन लोलोले चाहिँ नपत्याउने भएको हुनाले उसले त्यो जुन टाँसिने चाहिँ गम बाहेक त्यो तार काँटीहरू पनि प्रयोग गर्नुपर्छ भनेर उसले अडान दिन्छ। मेरो भाँडो भइसकेपछि मैले जे भन्छु त्यो हुनुपर्छ, नत्र भने यहाँ मैले मान्दिनँ। मैले त्यो अनुसार, मैले भनेको अनुसार काम नभयो भने म पैसा पनि दिन्न, ज्याला पनि दिन्न भनेर उसले एउटा आफ्नो चाहिँ आफू एउटा त्यसको स्वामी भएको र आफ्नो निर्देशन अरूले पाल्नुपर्ने, मान्नुपर्ने जस्तो कुरा गर्छ। अनि त्यसपछि उसले अब जी डिमाले सिमेन्टले मात्र, जुन सिमेन्टको चाहिँ एउटा चाहिँ टाँसिने चिजले चाहिँ टाँसिने त्यो गम, सिमेन्टले बनाएको गमले मात्र हुँदैन कि तारले पनि एउटा ल्वाङ्किलोको पनि प्रयोग गर्नुपर्छ भनेर सल्लाह दिन्छ। अन्तमा जी डिमाले लोलाले भनेअनुसार भाँडोको मर्मत गर्न थाल्छ। उसले अन्य व्यक्तिहरूको पनि सहयोग लिन्छ। गाग्रो बनाउँदा बनाउँदै जी डिमा गाग्रोको भित्र पस्छ र गाग्रो पहिला ठुलो थियो। अनि गाग्रोको भित्र पसेर पुनः उसले ल्वाङ्किलो ठोक्न थाल्छ। गाग्रो बनाउँदा बनाउँदै अचानक गाग्राको मुख सानो र साँगुरिलो हुन्छ। अनि जी डिमा गाग्रोको भित्रबाट बाहिर निस्कन सक्दैन। यता चाहिँ जुन घैलाको जुन मर्मत गर्ने काम सकियो, तर घैलोभित्र पसेर त्यो घैलोको मर्मत गर्न पसेको मान्छे बाहिर निस्कन नसक्ने अवस्था भयो। अब ऊ बाहिर निस्कनको लागि कि घैलो फुटाल्नु पर्यो, नत्र कि चाहिँ त्यहीँ बसिराख्नलाई चाहिँ उसलाई भन्नु पर्यो। दुवै कुरा असम्भव छ। अब कसो गर्ने? अनि अब यही कुरालाई लिएर अब चाहिँ अब जुन जे कुरामा पनि अदालतमा मुद्दा लड्न जाने, मुद्दाको चाहिँ लड्ने चाहिँ एउटा बिउ पाएपछि अब त्यो जोखाना हेरिरहेको चाहिँ डन लोलोलाई चाहिँ एउटा कायदा भयो। उसले के गर्छ, अब यो कुरालाई लिएर अदालत जान्छ हैन। अनि अदालतमा त्यहाँ वकिल कहाँ चाहिँ सल्लाह लिन्छ र अनि ऊ पुनः फर्कन्छ। लोला र जी डिमाको बिचमा निकै बहस चल्छ। अनि लोलाले रिसाएर भाँडोको पैसा तिर्नुपर्छ, नत्र भने म जी डिमालाई चाहिँ यहाँबाट तिमीलाई बाहिर निकाल्दैन, तिमी यहीँ कुहेर मरे नि मर, जेसुकै गर भनेर उसले चाहिँ भन्छ। भाँडोबाट बाहिर निस्कने हो भने भाँडो फुटाल्नुपर्छ, तर भाँडाको चाहिँ क्षतिपूर्ति तिमीले तिर्नुपर्छ भनेर भनेपछि जी डिमा चाहिँ त्यसमा ऊ बरु म यहीँ बस्छु, भाँडाबाट बाहिर निस्कन्न भनेर उसले आफ्नो एक खालको चाहिँ विद्रोही भावना देखाउँछ। अनि यता चाहिँ अब जुन पैसाले के गर्छ भने उसले त्यो हाजिरीबाट पाएको पैसाले अब व्यक्तिहरूलाई चाहिँ जसले सहयोग गरेका थिए तिनीहरूलाई भोज खुवाउने एउटा निर्णय गर्छ जी डिमाले। जी डिमा अझ पनि गाग्रोको भित्रै नै छ। त्यस राति किसान मजदुरहरूले भाँडाको वरिपरि नाचेर उत्सव मनाउँछन्, खान्छन्, पिउँछन्, रमाउँछन्, नाच्छन्, गाउँछन्। अनि एकदम चर्को स्वरमा उनीहरूले गीत गाउँछन्, रमाउँछन्। त्यो देखेपछि जी डिमाले गाग्रोको भित्रैबाट अति उच्च स्वरमा गीत गाउँछ। लोलाले रिसाएर ऊ हत्तर पत्तर बिस्तारबाट चाहिँ जान्छ र अनि त्यहाँपछि उसको रिसको झोकमा लात्ताले हानेर गुल्टाइदिन्छ। अनि त्यो गुल्टिसकेपछि त्यो गुल्टिँदै जाँदाखेरि जैतुनको बोटमा गएर ठोकिन्छ र अनि त्यसपछि भाँडो फुट्छ। फुटिएको भाँडो सँगसँगै त्यहाँ थुनिएको जी डिमा काका डिमा पनि त्यहाँबाट मुक्त हुन्छ। अब जी डिमा काकाले चाहिँ कुनै रुपियाँ नतिरिकन स्वतन्त्रताको सास फेर्न पाउँछ। आखिरीमा अनि डन लोलोको चाहिँ आफ्नो जुन झगडालु स्वभाव भएको डन लोलोले अब एउटा पछुताउनु सिवाय केही गर्न सक्दैन। द्याट्स द स्टोरी समरी इन नेपाली। नाउ let me talk about the discussion of the story. The discussion. The well jar depicts life, problems and customs of farmers and of artisans. It gives a message that unity of farmers can overturn the structure of hierarchy. It is a primitive state of life and living conditions of laborers that the author depicts in this story, and that's from Sicily of Italy. The protagonist of the story is a landowner. He is Zi Dima. The protagonist Don Lollo Ziraffa. The protagonist of the story is a landowner, and rest of the characters in the story is poor farmers and artisans. Farmers of village are being cursed by the greed of landowners who exploit them to amass wealth for themselves. Farmers, artisans live a secluded life, and at the time of harvest they have to undergo extreme physical labor. There is hardly any depiction in the story about farmers enjoying the life. Farmers dance and sing only once in the whole story, when they are drunk after a tiring day and when their landowner is asleep. As far as justice in village is concerned, it is the landowner who visits the lawyer and decides for others. Sometimes innocent workers are blamed to be guilty and forced to pay penalty. Zi Dima wants to repair the jar only with the use of glue, but Don Lollo does not trust him. He intervenes in work, and when Zi Dima is trapped inside the jar, he asks him to pay in order to exit the jar. The workers find the broken jar, but they are very afraid to tell him anything about it. The story shows two different social worlds which are essential for survival, but which will remain always very distant and will never find a common ground. From the protagonist, Don Lollo Ziraffa, to the farmers, artisans, lawyers and workers, all are male. There is no female character in the story. Pirandello is known for using comic elements to portray reality of Italian society. The protagonist of the story is comic. He always finds a reason for filing lawsuits against others. In his absence, the farmers make fun of him for his litigious nature. Even the attorney of the village goes uncontrollable laughter when he listens to the arguments of Don Lollo. Zi Dima has a complex character. Pirandello has depicted Zi Dima as a silent and mysterious person. He is very proud of his glue and is sure of being able to repair the jar with it. All farmers have sympathy for Zi Dima. He belongs to the class of laborers, and his opinion does not count in the society of big landowners. He spends all the money that Don Lollo throws inside the jar in buying wine and food for farmers. Zi Dima is a figure of a savior who ensures that workers drink and eat at landowners' expense. He forms an alliance with laborers and farmers. They find a friend in him, and when they realize that Don Lollo is asleep, they start dancing and drinking. Zi Dima also enjoys his stay inside the jar. He sings loudly, he smokes, and he can't dance there. just but by watching other people, other farmers dancing, he enjoys. Zi Dima is one of those who is being abused, exploited and oppressed. A skilled worker, Zi Dima is known in the farmer community for his invention. He represents the class of laborers and faces oppression by the landowner. He decides to go on protest against the exploitation of the landowner and leads the working class to voice against the oppression. He protests peacefully and is never aggressive like his landowner, Lollo Ziraffa. He smokes, sings and drinks inside the jar. His victory is the victory of the entire farmers community. The owner is only concerned about the jar and he does not want it to be broken. He wants the artisan to remain trapped inside for whole of his life. Material world is more important for him than humanitarian value. Author Luigi presents the theme of madness through his story. Don Lollo behaves like a mad person. There is a fight between evil, anger, greed, arrogance in the character of Don Lollo, and good, joy, hope and serenity that of Zi Dima and farmers represent. There is such a poverty in the society that in order to not pay the penalty of the jar, Zi Dima decides to stay inside it for the rest of his life. It is difficult to decide in the story of Pirandello who is at fault, because both the protagonists claim to be correct in their statements. The theme of honesty is prevalent in Italian society. The lawyer of the village gives a book of legal code to his client Don Lollo so that he does not have to come to consult him every time for small matters. The farmers are also honest since they inform their master Don Lollo about the new jar that has holes in it. Don Lollo breaks the rule. He decides for everything and does not trust anyone. When he finds his jar broken, he blames his workers for it and starts beating them mercilessly. He also tries to take advantage of Zi Dima. No one among workers likes him or supports him. His dishonesty causes fear in him. He is afraid to lose his jar and it causes distress in him, which is very evident when he himself kicks the jar and it is broken. Don Lollo is obsessed with the jar and his money, so he suffers and is victim of loneliness. This short story also has a happy ending. The jar is smashed into an olive tree and Zi Dima is set free. He emerges as a stronger man in the end. His liberty from the jar is a symbol of the freedom from exploitation and from oppressed society. This is the end of my today's discussion of Luigi Pirandello's short story, The Jar or the Whale Jar. Goodbye, have a nice day.